Bill Clinton sat down for a congressional deposition about Jeffrey Epstein, and there are 3 moments in this footage that will tell you everything. Watch.
How many dinners did you have with Ghislaine Maxwell or Jeffrey Epstein in attendance?
Have you ever lied in a deposition?
No.
Have you ever lied while under oath?
No.
And then I have to ask this, did you engage in any sexual activity
No.
with this person?
Welcome back, my body language buddies. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy, and today we are breaking down Bill Clinton's deposition, the one about Jeffrey Epstein, and it's something else. Because right from the very first question, he sets the tone. Watch.
First question I have for you, Mr. President. Have you ever lied in a deposition?
No.
Have you ever lied while under oath?
No.
No. Simple answer, but notice what his body does in the half second after. He presses his lips together. That is suppression. Something wants to come out, and he's holding it in. Then watch his jawline. His mouth is closed, but underneath those lips, his jaw is slightly open. Not clenched in anger, but the opposite. His jaw is loose, but his mouth is sealed shut. That is a contained reaction. His body's fighting to stay neutral and failing. And here is the context that makes this the perfect opening lie. Bill Clinton was impeached in 1998, in part because he lied under oath about Monica Lewinsky. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. He said it under oath. It was later proven to have lied. So when he answers no to have you ever lied while under oath, that is not a gray area. That is a documented, probable, flat-out lie. And his body knows it before his mouth even closes. But the most loaded exchange in this entire deposition starts here, and pay close attention to his attorney, because she is exceptional at her job.
Witnesses who testified in the Epstein cases that Epstein said, you quote, like them young. Why would Epstein say that about you?
Are you asking his opinion? You're asking him to think about why Mr. Epstein would say
Correct.
something
Why
about him?
would Epstein say that
So
about
she's
the
asking you
president?
to try to be in Mr. Epstein's mind and guess at what Mr. Epstein would have thought about.
First of
Clinton
all,
likes them young, referring to girls.
Did you see that? The moment the question lands, his attorney catches it in midair. Are you asking his opinion? She creates a buffer between the question and her client, but the question is already out there, and Clinton still has to answer it.
first of all, that's not true.
What's not true?
That I have any interest in underage,
I didn't say underage. I said young.
but it's still not true.
Is an intern young?
That pause, 4 full seconds. He is constructing his answer, choosing every word carefully. And then the most important statement analysis moment in this entire deposition. The question used the word young. Bill Clinton answered with the word underage. Nobody asked about underage. The congressman said young. Clinton heard it as underage. And when the congressman immediately corrects him, I didn't say underage, I said young. Clinton doesn't even flinch. But it's still not true. Think about what that tells you. The word underage was already in his mind. He introduced it into the room. Nobody brought it there. He did. And when the congressman follows up, is an intern young? Clinton simply says yes and moves on, as if he didn't just do that.
Yes.
Okay.
At my age, anybody younger than I am.
Did you
is
know
young.
Jeffrey Epstein instructed a witness to deny you were ever on his island?
He didn't have to since I was never there.
Did you ever travel to Zorro Ranch?
Is that the one in New Mexico?
Yes.
No.
He didn't have to since I was never there. Pay attention to that phrasing. He is not just saying no. He's telling you why the denial is unnecessary. And notice how instant and confident that answer is. No pause, no jaw tension, no crossed arms. He's completely comfortable on the island question. But then, is that the one in New Mexico? That tiny question before his no on Zorro Ranch, that is not confusion. He knows exactly what they are talking about. He's buying half a second while performing ignorance. That is familiarity wearing a costume.
What did happen, Mr. President?
I don't know. I mean, I've already told you this. I'll tell it again. I never saw anybody do anything wrong. I thought they were flight attendants.
Do flight attendants typically wear tank tops and jeans?
They don't all wear uniforms on private planes.
Yes, sir. Most are dressed probably pretty business class.
I never saw anybody do anything wrong. Notice he does not say nothing wrong happened. He can only speak for what he saw. That is a very carefully built non-denial. Then comes the flight attendant question. Watch his eyes on that 4-second pause. They go to his left. In body language analysis, eyes moving left typically indicates recall, not fabrication. He is actually pulling up a memory. He has seen this before. He has been on planes where the woman wore tank tops and jeans, I guess. Now, about that trembling hand, I want to be fair here. That tremor is consistent throughout this entire deposition. It is not a spike that happens during difficult questions. It is a baseline. Well, Bill Clinton is 79 years old, and I say this respectfully, age appears to have caught up with him. That tremor is most likely not nerves. It is biology. But the jaw clench that follows, the left arm pulling in towards his chest, the lean back, those are not baseline. Those are stress responses. And they all appear together right after he answers the flight attendant question. That cluster is the tail. And here's where things get generally unsettling. The next clip has almost no dialogue, but it does not need any.
Let me see it. Okay.
Mr. President, we have about 5 minutes remaining in the majority's first hour, so I just want to ask you some questions related to the crimes committed by Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell.
Watch his face. He's studying those documents, photographs from the Epstein files, and his expression is what I can only describe as genuine delight. He's leaning in. His attorney takes them from him. He reaches back and takes them again. He licks his finger and points at something on the page that clearly interests him. That is not the face of a man looking at evidence of crimes. And by the way, about that picture that he was looking at with so much glee, I couldn't find it in the Epstein files. Maybe you can have some tips about what is this? And then the announcement. 5 minutes remaining. The crimes committed by Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell. Watch what happens to that smile. It disappears instantly, like a light switch. He catches himself and his face resets to neutral. That self-correction is critical because it tells you the smile was involuntary. It leaked out before he could stop it, and whatever he was looking at in those documents, it brought him somewhere he did not want you to see.
He never, the president never, this is 20-something years ago, never said anything to me to make me think he was involved in anything improper with regard to Epstein either. He just didn't. And I have no information that he did anything wrong.
This is one of the few moments in this deposition where Clinton uses open, emphatic hand gestures. He's making a declarative point and his right hand is reinforcing it. He wants to be believed. And then, the moment he finishes defending Donald Trump, his arms cross. Just like that. He physically closes himself off. Make of that what you will. Now, here's the contrast I want you to lock in.
How many dinners did you have with Ghislaine Maxwell or Jeffrey Epstein in attendance?
She's asking to the best of your recollection.
I have no idea.
Okay, did you ever discuss sexual misconduct allegations made against you with Epstein or Maxwell?
Never.
Did Epstein or Maxwell ever offer to help manage or silence women who made sexual misconduct allegations against you?
No.
How many dinners? 1 second. I have no idea. He's leaning forward, rapid-fire answers, no pauses. This is the same man who needed 4 full seconds to respond to whether he had any interest in young people. Now, he cannot answer fast enough. The gap in response time between those two moments is itself a body language signal. The brain allocates processing time in proportion to how much it has to manage. These answers require no management at all.
Did you ever think that all these women around Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell was odd, unusual, weird, or creepy?
There weren't all that many around when I was there.
He was given 4 options: odd, unusual, weird, or creepy. He chose none of them. Instead, he disputed the quantity. There weren't all that many around when I was there. He did not say it was not odd. He said there were not many, which is a completely different answer, and which also raises a new question. How many is not that many to Bill Clinton?
Well,
He's asking you in the pool
it appears
area.
this photo, there's a girl over here, or there's someone.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
They show him a photo. He is in a pool in Brunei, a trip that he later describes in considerable detail, down to the layout of the suites. And there's a woman nearby, and his answer, I don't know who that is. Hold that thought.
No.
Were they part of your traveling party, he's asking you?
Yes, they were, I think. I think everybody there was part of our party. It was late at night or late-ish, and
There it is. I don't know who that is, but she was part of your traveling party, your party on a presidential diplomatic trip that you are now describing in precise detail. The suites, the floor layout, the pool, and the woman standing 10 feet away from you in the water? No idea. No, that doesn't hold up.
that there were several suites, and so we went out, I swam around, I sat in the hot tub for 5 minutes, or whatever it was, and I got up and went to bed.
And then I sat in the hot tub for 5 minutes. His arms crossed. There's a subtle shoulder shrug right when the words, whatever it was, are said. And that shrug is dismissal. That shrug says, why are we still on this? Nobody gets into a hot tub for 5 minutes. You put on your swim trunks, you walk out there, you sink in, you relax. 5 minutes, it's not a soak. 5 minutes is barely enough time to get comfortable. And crossing his arms while saying it is not what someone does when they are confident in their answer. Now, pay attention to the timing on this last clip, because this is the single most revealing moment in the entire deposition.
And then I have to ask this, did you engage in any sexual activity
No.
with this person? Okay, thank you.
He answered before the question was finished. 4 seconds to answer whether he has any interest in young people. 4 seconds to identify who was in his traveling party. 4 seconds on the flight attendant question. And for this one, the one about sexual activity with a woman in a pool, he answered while the congressman was still mid-sentence. His brain did not need to retrieve that answer. It was already loaded. Because the brain can rehearse words, yes, but it cannot always rehearse pace. When an answer takes 4 seconds, the brain is doing something. Searching, measuring, calculating risk. When it fires before the question ends, the brain is doing something completely different. It has already been there. The answer was ready before the question was asked. So you can use this in your own life. Pay attention to response time, not just to what people say, but to when they say it. The gap before a difficult answer tells you more than the answer itself. So let me know what do you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Body Language Guy. Much love and bliss.